So I think I'll go to the letters P and S now, because they're real close to each other. And I'm trying to look at all of the colors that I've already got represented in here, and then maybe pick some different colors out for that one. It looks like orange is pretty well represented, and magenta is getting some action, but we're not getting much work from the tan. So I'm going to use tan in the outer portion of the letter P, but I think I'm going to use different colors, not just the opposite color approach here, like we did with the letter M and V. So now the worksheet should go pretty quickly because the shapes are very small and it doesn't have to be totally opaque. However, it does need to be drawn well enough so that you can figure out how to do the letters. So the whole purpose of the previous video on how to make your alphabet was a warm-up exercise for when we do the actual project, and it will be much bigger. And on the project, it's very likely that the characters will be a square. It's not that they'll be a rectangle. So let's see what else we got here. With that, I think I could go with some green against that tan. I don't see that anywhere else in here. So let's go with the yellow-green against the tan. That should show up pretty brightly. Wow, that looks pretty nice. I got to get some gray going too. I've been avoiding gray there. I've only got it in a couple of the letters, and it needs to be represented. So the more variety of colors you use in it, you're going to come out with a piece of artwork when we do the project that's got a lot more possibility of bright colors. If it's dominated by one color, what that ends up being, or one or two colors, is just a bad composition. And composition is really important to the overall beauty of the work. So the letter S here, I'm going to use gray on the outside of that. And I got to come up with some bright color against it. Probably magenta pops out against that, or aqua green would pop out against that too. So let's just keep this coming. Now my worksheet's got some markings in it from the layout work and some stuff that I did on the surface earlier, so it's got some stuff showing up in it, but it's just for reference, so we don't have to worry about its physical beauty so much there, as we really need to worry more about getting it finished. So okay, wow, that looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to go with can't be dark, it's got to be a brighter color. Let's go with maybe aqua green in the middle this time. There you go. That shows up fantastic. That's beautiful. Okay. Alright, very good. So these are completely different looking characters, and that's a good thing. So I'm going to continue to address the characters in the alphabet that resemble each other and have the same shapes, and then simply make sure that they're different colors. Now on an actual piece of artwork, you really won't want to skip around too much. You'd want to kind of stay in one area so you don't smear all your work together. Now it looks like our last matching letters are going to be the Q and the X over here as well. So when we look at the X, it's about the same shape as the letter R, it seems to me. So let's see. Maybe we'll go with something. I'm not really trying to pick them at random, but I am trying to get a lot of different varieties of colors in here. So in this case, I'm going to go with orange in the middle. Now strangely, the opposite of orange on the color wheel is blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite color down in the letter X. There we go. So the opposite of orange is blue. So I'll go with this light blue color, and these should definitely look different from each other because they're opposite colors, right? And I may also change up one of these so I've got like 4 colors in it, and the other one is just represented by 2 colors, or maybe even opposite colors in the corners might look good too. So we're just trying to make progress here on our worksheet, and I'm going to bet that we will be able to finish this in 2 class periods and then march on with our project. And that should take us about another, say, maybe 6, 8, 9 days. It could take a while to get them all the way done. Depends on how complicated the message is that was selected and how good a progress everybody makes in the class. So this is definitely starting to shape up here. The colors are looking pretty interesting there. Let's go with, let's see, I don't know. I'm going to have to use some violet. It's been shunned only here, here, and here. So let's go with some violet here against this orange. Looks pretty good. I think I'll put that in the other one too. In the opposite corner here. Alright. And that will go opposite corner here. With the violet. Although it looks a little bit blue on the projector, and I'm not real sure exactly what it looks like on the video, but you can trust me. That's why I put these swatches on here to represent these colors. So it does appear to be blue on the screen, but it is violet in fact. Okay, now I'm going to go with some magenta in these opposite corners here. And that should really get us going. So we're going to... Alright. And then same down here. And then I'm going to finish up that other letter. And I think I'll have to see where we're at on time here. Alright, now down here in the X, why don't we go with some more of this Jade Green that never gets any action. We'll put it in this side right here. Okay. So I'm thinking that that shortly we're going to be moving on to our laying out our paper. And also getting ready to start the drawing of this, and then after a couple days of that, a couple sessions, we'll probably be coloring the actual big drawing, and that takes some time, and it really, really is very tedious sometimes. But that's what we're trying to do in this class, is create some long attention spans. Don't seem to have that going on real frequently in middle school, and it's really an important skill. So a lot of making art is really simply just trying to build long attention spans and long concentration and focus for long periods of time. And if we can do that in the 7th grade, we'll probably stand a pretty good chance of making it out there, because the world really requires a great deal of paying close attention to what's going on, and that's really important in not just art but finance and the world of engineering, and your own personal life. You have to really know what's going on in the society around you in order to be able to react to it effectively. And that's kind of one of the reasons that public education is such a brilliant idea. It helps people live in the complicated world that we live in, and the world is getting pretty complicated, I'm thinking. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to just keep on coloring here. I like it. Now in the 6th grade alphabet, this is a black spot in the middle, and it's surrounded by yellow, so I'm going to kind of throw a little bit of a tribute there. Well, after that brief interruption, we're back again, and we're going to finish this up here, and then in the next session and the next video, we're going to move on with laying this project out and getting it started. It looks like when I left there we are, violet again. right here on the letter I. So, like I was saying, we're not trying to make a thing of beauty out of this worksheet. We're simply trying to get our information or our planning steps together so that we can execute the actual piece of artwork more effectively, and it'll take less time. So planning your work out really does take less time than trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing if you haven't planned it out. So planning also will reveal a lot of potential problems that you might have in a project when you start noticing you're using the same colors over and over again, or that you know, you've got issues with maybe too many dark colors. So it helps you figure your problems out before you actually begin making the literal work of art. And that's a bad time to really be figuring out all the sweat and all the details. You should have already thought of those things, honestly. Now, there will always come periods of time in a piece of artwork where something that you did not expect, you know, even though you did planning, will start to occur. And sometimes that's just because of a lack of knowledge of the materials. Sometimes it's because the materials that you used are not appropriate for the job. Sometimes it's just because you didn't plan out enough time to make all this work out for you in the end. So this is all experience, and a lot of what art is what we call experiential learning. Okay, I'm trying to look at my worksheet and figure out some colors that I don't have a whole lot of, and you know, I've been neglecting the dark brown a lot, so I think the dark brown would be great for this center stripe in the J. Now, on the colored pencil, it doesn't say dark brown, it just says brown. But there is a color that the 8th graders use, and that would be light brown. And it's used a lot because they have not necessarily an alphabet like the 6th and 7th graders do. That's just very stripy and blocky. They use symbols for their projects. So, like A is an axe, a small picture of an axe, and B is a small picture of a belt, although we're thinking about fixing that one up and coming to a different one. And C is a clock, and so forth. So they really need some colors reserved for them that make logical sense in their artwork. Okay, let's see. You know, I like this aqua green, but it seems like I'm using a lot of it. But it is an attractive color, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got a lot of various colors in here. So rather than just using 2 colors, if I've got 3 stripes, I think it's important to maybe use, you know, 3 different colors for that. Let's go with maybe the orange in this case right here. Orange and aqua seem to look great together, by the way. So my letter J. Orange on the top, a little dark brown in the middle, and the aqua green on the bottom third. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that same color scheme and I'm going to apply it to this letter T here. So I'm going to use this, same as the top, on the other letter J. And then in the middle, I have a reason to use my dark brown again. So, you know, now I'm just using the same colors, but I'm orienting them in a different manner because these are vertical stripes rather than horizontal stripes. So, it's kind of like these 2 letters are similar to each other, they're just oriented in different directions. It's odd. So, we're just going to keep on at this, making good progress, really. If this is done in 2 class sessions, that really is a huge achievement. If it is drawn and colored in 2 class sessions, or even 3 class sessions for that matter, that's also a huge achievement. So we're making good progress in this E lesson here, I suppose. Okay, now see, if this is the bottom over here, I'm going to use this one as the right hand side. That's kind of how I see it. Because at the top is on the left, thought it was on the right, but that's just the way I see it. Okay, so I'm hoping I can finish this up straight away here. It looks like some of the more difficult letters, that letter Y is still waiting on us, and so is the letter W there. So, but I'm feeling relatively confident about my ability to finish this here in a brief period of time. Although it may take you all longer than it does me, simply because I work a little faster than a lot of the students do. Now I'm going to use that magenta, and then I'm going to go magenta, and then I'm going to go aqua aqua. Aqua. Okay, so if I do that, then what happens if I go, let's go blue, light blue that is, and light blue. And then let's go tan and tan. So I'm kind of coming out with a pattern of sorts there. And I've kind of figured this out by watching the students do it over the years. So if I go orange here, and orange here, that means I can go dark brown right here. And if I do that above it over here, of course it will go over here under it, dark brown, right here. It's kind of like a patchwork quilt kind of effect. And then let's say if I go with a violet right here, then I'm going to go with a violet down here, opposite, give it color balance. Sense of movement. People will look at that and won't want to try to balance it out. And then of course it looks like I'm going to have to go with something like yeah, we haven't used any yellow green here, so we'll go yellow green. And see, letters like the letter N here allow you to get a lot of colors in there, so it doesn't get dominated by one color, unlike the letter Q, which we're going to go with one solid gray mass in there, because it doesn't get used that often, but if it does, well, this will be a good home for the gray. To just keep at it. But we are closing in on some major work here over the last session or so, and I've got to say, it looks like I'm going to have to sharpen a gray. So I'll stay at that too. Huh. Well, these are interesting color selections. I guess I can live with what I've made here. Now, I'm kind of curious how the project will come out now with the color selections I've made. So it's a bit of a mystery sometimes when you start making something like this, where you kind of plan your work out, and then that plan comes back later and has kind of different results than what you might have expected. But I'm trying to use a good variety of colors, just trying to get my worksheet done, so we'll move on to the real project here. The planning is part of the real project. This worksheet is kind of patchy. Okay, letter Q. Big gray. Okay, I'm going back to the O now, and I'm looking for colors I haven't used much of, especially colors that are used together. And I've been neglecting the Jade Green for a while, so I think I'm going to go with some Jade Green on the bottom. This is kind of an olive drab or a army green color, I guess is what I'd call it. And so we're just going to get that in there quickly. And I don't know what I'm going to do above olive green. I do like other colors, but we are limited in our color selection based on what we've been doing with our art project here and the requirements for the colored pencil selections. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with, above that green, haven't used magenta in a while, and I like magenta, so I'm going to go with that and the letter O. And you know what? We're down to just 2 letters after this. Both of them kind of complicated, but it shouldn't take too long since we're not working like this is the actual piece of work. We're simply planning out our colors at this point, and I'll bet. Now I get coloring real fast, next thing you know I'm shaking the camera everywhere, and so I've got to dial it back in sometimes. Alright, let's go with some orange in the middle of the W. Oh, I forgot about Z. 3 letters, sorry. And then around the outside of that orange, we're going to put something like dark brown. Even though it just says brown on the colored pencil, we're calling it dark brown because it's the darker of the 2 browns that are in a Crayola kit, 24 pack, that is. Okay, now we're getting there. We got, let's see, how about some aqua on the out edge? Ooh, that looks nice. Kind of reminds me of the beach. Orange groves down in Florida. Dirt. Sun. Awesome, good working. Alright. Now I'm thinking for the letter Z, I might just go with 4 colors and 4 triangles right there. So how about some violet for this side? And kind of in our setup here today with these colors, I guess if yellow is the legitimate opposite of violet, which it is, then the closest thing we got to that, over the edge of my work, is probably tan. Put the opposite over here. And I'm thinking we're making fantastic progress now. So I'll get this all tanned in there. I'm looking forward to some summer vacation so we can get some, go to the beach, everybody, and do your yard work, get a suntan on. Okay, let's go with green above it, green below it, yellow green below it. That's a usable color there. Off the edge of my work board, but I'll be okay. Okay, and then the last one, let's go with some, I haven't used this light blue in a little while, so take that. Like the sky, and earth. And we're down to our very last letter, and then in our next time, we'll start laying out our paper and setting up our message. And that should be fantastic use of our time here. These videos can go by pretty quickly sometimes, but most of the time art class does go by fast to the people whose minds are occupied. If your mind's not occupied, well then, and it probably goes by as slow as any other class that you dislike. But when your mind is occupied, it goes by rapidly. So I'm going to stick in here with our magenta some more. And I think I'm going to here shortly pick another color, and I don't know which color that is yet, but the letter Y here is pretty tricky. I hope everybody was able to get it drawn appropriately with 9 parallel stripes when we were laying out our worksheet. And then I think I'm going to, for the letter Y, I'm going to use our underutilized and somewhat unloved gray. And I think gray is a good color. It needs to be used periodically. We'll go with this stripe that's also gray. And the other 2 stripes, maybe I'll do something else with those. Like an orange should go in there. Yeah. So gray, gray, and orange and orange. Wow, that's an interesting looking combination of colors. Okay, well, I tried to mix it up enough so that I didn't come out with the same, everything being dominated by the same colors. And so I'm hoping that, you know, in your worksheet as well, and if you haven't got it done yet, you've got to keep working on it. If you've got in your worksheet a whole bunch of different colors, such as you kind of see right here, you should be ready to move on to the next step. And so that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.